Greetings gamers, welcome to part number 65 of my Let's Play Fire Emblem 10, Radiant Dawn, and it is time to get into more info. Ike, I have something to give you. Hey, it's called Irvin, if I remember correctly. I borrowed it from your father's grave. Why? Honestly, I have no idea, but I felt a sudden urge to visit Grail's grave on the morning of our journey. When I told Gifka my idea for a little side trip, he said he thought the same thing. I believe we were guided to your father's grave by a divine message from the goddess. When I saw your father's axe, I was convinced that I had to take it to you. I felt that's what your father would have wanted. Maybe he and my mother are looking over us from somewhere. All right. It's my father's, so it's only right that I take it. I'll be showing that off momentarily. Volk, over here. Looking for you is like trying to find spilled ink at night. It's part of the job. Anyways, you've grown quite a bit since the last time I saw you. Everyone loves telling me that. You're starting to look like Grail. That might be true too. He is my dad. I didn't expect to see you here. Did someone from this camp hire you? Sure did. I see. It's good to have you on our side under any circumstances. Why did you call me over here? I have to return something to you. What the? What's all this money for? It's the 50,000 gold you paid me the last time around. Well, minus my pay, expenses, and that sort of thing, of course. Even so, there's a lot here. Well, the contract ended sooner than I expected, I guess. You did a lot for us back then. I didn't even get a chance to thank you. It was a job. There's no need to thank me. I know, but if you hadn't told me the story of my father, I wouldn't have never known about his past. So thanks, Volk. Yeah, so anyhow, you have your pay back. See you later. Did he really just get embarrassed because I thanked him? What a weird guy. 20,000 gold. So, yes, you get the Irvin, which is the double S rank axe. 22 might, 110 hit, 5 crit, 17 weight. This also gives, if I am not mistaken, where is Titania? Titania, wherefore art thou, Titania? Oh, I just passed her up. You can take that. The Brave Axe is practically dead, so I'll put that in the convoy. So, while equipped, it gives plus 3 resistance, which doesn't sound like that much. It's not really the resistance you have it for. I mean, Titania has 56 attack with this weapon, and she only has a 34 strength stat. This is why I give it to her, because, unfortunately, the paladins in this game are kind of really hurt by stat caps. So, yeah, there is that to go over. However, I have a lot of characters to go over. In fact, I have gained 5 new characters. First and foremost is the Lion King, Kanagus. He is the strongest Legoos in this game, and that's pretty much bar none. I did give him Dragon Foe, Provoke, as well as Nihil. All of your strongest of units need Nihil. Kanagus is one of those. I'm actually very saddened that he doesn't come with more speed. It's interesting because Gifka comes with quite a bit more speed, technically. I believe, well, no, not quite a bit. I think his base is 17. I did give him 2 bonus experience points levels, so I'm just misremembering here. But in the case of Kanagus, he has a 50% HP growth, a 40% strength, a 10% magic, a 40% skill, a 20% speed, a 40% luck, a 30% defense, and a 10% resistance. His resistance is almost capped. He has 22 might on that Great Fang, by the way. Double S rank, and the capacity to stay transformed whenever, alongside Roar, which is the Lion and Tiger's Satori Sign Mastery skill. Can inflict damage at triple strength rating and paralyze enemy for 1 turn. Not sure the paralyzing matters, but that's just part of the game. Then we have Gifka. He is also a lion with pretty comparable growth, 40% HP, 35% strength, 10% magic, 35% skill, 50% speed, 25% luck, 30% defense, and 15% resistance. The reason why you'll never see me use Gifka, even though he's basically the same unit as good old Kanagus, is because the guy himself doesn't have form shift, cannot get form shift, so you have to waste a turn using the Legoos gem, which is something that you do get on his person. Now this is something you can also get in the desert, so you can have 2 of these, which is 10 uses. And it's very important that it's 5 uses apiece. Very important. An item that allows Legus to maintain their animal form for an entire battle. For Legus only, of course. Why would it be for anybody else? Then you have Kurth Naga. He is a very unfortunate unit. Him and Ina are both dragons that join you as late as they do in this game. And obviously, both of their stats do double upon transformation. And they do have good growth rates, as well as quite a few levels to grow. I did give them skills and whatnot, because they are going to be joining me. I might as well use them for the time being while I have them and have to use them. But I am in no ways training either. In no ways. Because they're just such late joins, and they also both only have A rank in strike. Which means that good old Kurthnaga here only has a 12 might weapon, and Ina only has a 13 might weapon. Neither one of them are going to double anything, even at max speed. At max speed, Ina has, I think, 26, and Kurthnaga, I believe, has 32. You're not really doubling pretty much anything. They're both unfortunate units. Kurthnaga has a 95% HP growth, a 45% strength, a 15% magic, 20% skill, 35% speed, 60% luck, 25% defense, and 40% resistance. Ina, however, has a 50% HP, 20% strength, 50% magic, 40% skill, 40% speed, 35% luck, 15% defense, and 50% resistance. Ina attacks with, I believe, physical strength only. Her magic is basically if you want to give her imbue, which is disgusting. I wish her strength and magic stats were swapped, because this means that she only has a 33 attack with this. She's hardly damaging anything without, like, crits and a bunch of bonus experience points. Both of them are just straight up terrible units, in my humble opinion. And then we have Renning. Renning is the last unit I am gaining right now. However, there are a few more units that I will be gaining later on. With a 40% HP growth, 60% strength, 10% magic, 50% skill, 40% speed, 10% luck, 70% defense, and 20% resistance. Now, the interesting thing about Renning is that he actually is quite the good unit, but he is a sword gold knight. So he's not, in my humble opinion, as good as somebody like Titania, though he is a perfectly capable and usable unit at this point in the game. Perfectly capable. You are not at all hindered by using such a unit. Now, I have gone through and sold everything and prepared as best as I possibly can with everything, giving people the skills that each individual unit I'm going to have is going to need, as well as selling skills I'm not going to use. Somebody like Sanaki, she is force deployed in the Endgame, so I decided to give her Paragon to use her for the time. I might end up using her regardless, just so I can have a bit more units to use, just for the sake of it. The first chapter is going to be pretty well the longest of these chapters. The second chapter requires me to gain a weapon, and then once I'm done with that gaining of weapons, I can just complete the chapter. And then the third, fourth, and fifth part of the endgame, yes, there's 5 parts to this endgame, are specifically, they can last pretty much infinitely, but you can also beat them as fast as you want. I'm not going to be grinding pretty much the rest of this game, so that's to be taken into consideration. I am ready to end this chapter, or end this battle phase and preparations. Why did I say chapter? Good grief. Oh no. Yune, what is it? What's happening? This isn't good.
These soldiers, we've killed them already. They've been reborn in flesh, but not in spirit. Brought back from the dead? A miracle of the goddess.
A blasphemy, you mean? How could the goddess of order violate the most fundamental natural law?
Philosophy later, everyone. They're about to attack.
Are you alright? These dead soldiers really got to you, didn't they?
We can't win. All we do is kill the flesh, but she brings the flesh back. We need more time. No, there is no more time. Everyone else will be turned to stone, and I will be lonely forever. There's nothing more that I can do. I failed. I failed.
Yune, get a hold of yourself.
Ouch, my ears! What was that for, you big bully? Who do you think I am?
Yune, the goddess of chaos, the warm-hearted being whose courage and love gives us the will to go on.
Ike, thank you.
As things stand, we can't bring everyone into the tower. We'll need support here to hold this position. But at the very least, how many are we going to need inside?
There'll have to be much stronger forces inside the tower, not to mention Ashira herself. We'll send in our best 11. Oh, and we'll want the 2 dragons, and one from the Heron tribe. And, the Empress. Plus, it wouldn't hurt to have Soth.
Understood. If that's everyone, I'll gather them together.
And once we get inside, you can leave most of the fighting to Micaiah.
Which is unfortunately a humorous joke, because even though, yes, Micaiah does get a pretty good buff to her statistics, she's still a magic-wielding light mage.
Something like this should work.
We're ready. So from my understanding, there are 7 units that are force deployed. These 6 here, and then one of the Herons. You get to choose which Heron. And then you get 10 units. A choice of 10. And that's all you get. Unfortunate, to say the least. I'm not entirely sure who I am bringing in total. There is probably going to be quite a few people I'm going to bench, especially because of the fact that I do want my supposed better units. Let's see. Alencia, of course. I think... So, definitely Kanagas. Gifka, Renning, Jeffrey. Alright. So, who else am I bringing? I can bring Tironio. Well, actually, no, I can't. Tibbarn. I want to bring Tibbarn. So I'm going to have to reduce my forces here, which is kind of a very big shame. I'm halfway thinking about benching Tormod, which sounds like a hilarious thing, especially because I use so much bonus experience points on him and whatnot, but you want your strongest units possible. Har. Well, Naysala. See, this is my problem with this, is that you have to choose who you're going to bring, and much of who you can choose to bring are not necessarily the best units to bring. Naysala would be very nice to have. Har. I'm going to bring Har, of course. Shinon is good. I'm halfway tempted to not bring Stefan. So I'm going to go ahead and go off screen and make my choices and figure out my plan for this before I continue this chapter. I will see you in just a few. Alright, gamers, I am back with my full lineup besides, obviously, the Heron I'll be choosing in a moment. So Ike, Micaiah, Soth, Sanaki, Kurthnaga, and Ina must join you. I'm also going to be bringing Naysala, Har, Shinon, Stefan, Tormod, Mist, Titania, Tibbarn, Alencia, and Kanagas. This means I'm benching both Tironio and Devdan. This is not all that, or Danved, this is not all that unreasonable, though. And even though this is going to mean that I'm going to miss out on one particular weapon to use, the Wishblade, in fact, which is the weapon that I would be getting in the second part of Endgame, which kind of means I can just blow through that chapter because I don't need it. I'm not going to have anybody who can use it. And it is unfortunate I'm not going to be able to use Tironio, but being honest, I think both of them have kind of flubbed. Having Naysala, Tibbarn, and Kanagas is going to be very good. The reason why all of them have either parity or nihil is for some of the bosses in the final chapters. I almost want to say, like, I am missing Nihil somewhere. I believe you're supposed to have 4 Nihils in this game. Or Nihils. And I only have 3. So, unfortunately, I'm not really sure what exactly I can do about that because I don't have the other. Would be nice to have the other. I think, oh no, I know what it is. You actually get the 4th one later in an upcoming chapter. So that's okay. That's perfect. I'm going to go ahead and finish.
All right, everyone's almost ready. Who would you like to bring from the Heron tribe?
This is pretty simple. Rayson, would you join us? Gladly. I'll give you everything I've got.
All right, Tower of Guidance, here we come.
It's so quiet. Is the goddess here?
Uh-huh, she's at the top. Be careful, everyone. This tower is Ashira's home territory. She's certain to have her most powerful troops waiting for us ahead. We must proceed with the utmost caution.
So, you were companion to the very first Empress Altina. I am honored that you have chosen to speak with me.
You would trust in the word of a stranger?
Yes, I can see inside you. I know you cannot speak lies.
Is it possible? Do you share some aspect of my power?
I do, as did my mother. Generation after generation, each apostle has been blessed to hear the voice of the goddess. We know of impending disasters, how crops will fare. All revelations originally intended for you.
The children of my union with Altina. I had no idea.
Please, look at this.
That mark.
All of the apostles have borne this brand. It is our greatest secret. The senators must never know. Because of this brand, I thought that I had been born of some great sin. It plagued me always. Guilt tore at me every day as I hid my mark from my people, deceiving them constantly about my true nature.
Oh, child, how can I apologize to you?
And yet now that I've met you, I understand. There is no shame in my heritage. None at all. I will not live in hiding. I will reveal to the world that I am one of the branded. They must see there is no shame in who I am.
No, you mustn't. You don't understand the danger you will be placing yourself in.
Oh, but I do. The senators will do their utmost to rally the people against me, as they did when I freed the Lagoos from slavery. But I will not be deterred. If I am to lead this nation, I cannot allow it to be corrupted by prejudice and hatred. I can put the life the goddess has given me to no greater good than this.
Such determination. Your eyes, they very much resemble Altina's.
I will stand before my people and proudly proclaim the truth. And then I will guide them to a just and honest future. This is my promise to you.
Thank you. Your strength of will, the truth that guides your life. You have shown me the way back to myself. I shall return to Goldoa and tell my friends of you and your actions. I will tell them that Laguz and Bjork may once again live together in peace. I will tell them that there is hope.
Thank you, father of my mothers. I strive to be worthy of the gift of life you have granted me.
What was that? Someone's? Was it someone's memory?
Well, what is it?
Sorry, don't worry, it was nothing. All right, then. Our path leads through that doorway there.
Well, Apostle Sonic, what a surprise seeing you here. Frankly, I'm amazed that you, of all people, would dare to set foot inside the most holy Tower of Guidance.
Lacane, we've been looking for you for a long time. You bound Dan to your awful pact, hounded noble King Peleus, and stole countless lives in your appalling war. You are beyond redemption.
Beyond redemption? My, that does sound dreadful. Whatever will you do with me? Oh, and let me remind you, the blood pact is still in effect. You would do well to remember that. I think you know what will happen to the people of Daen if you should dare oppose me.
Enough. We fear your threats no longer. No more we will bow to your every whim. Now that we found you, we will exact justice upon you, then destroy the blood pact itself, ending its power over us.
So you figured it out, did you? It matters not. This changes nothing, do you hear me? Here is the scroll for which you've been searching so diligently, right here in my hands.
Ah.
And yet none of you will ever lay one grimy little finger upon it. I've been blessed by the goddess herself. Her protection will not allow you to fleas to even approach me.
Lacane, cease this travesty of virtue at once.
What have we here? Oh, yes, the Apostle. Excuse me, child, but I had completely forgotten you were here. Since you've ordained to grace us with your exalted presence, dear Apostle, let me share a bedtime story with you. The year was 640, Begnian era. The Empire had been without an apostle for 15 long years. The senators were being constantly harassed with complaints from the people. There had been nothing like it in history. The voices calling for young Sanaki to be crowned grew louder every day. You had just turned 5 years old when the Senate welcomed you to the throne as the new apostle. Ah, but my young mistress Sanaki, what a difficult child you were. You threw tantrums, you screamed and cried constantly. Your conduct was hardly befitting an empress of Begnion. Everyone was at a loss. You wouldn't even stop mewling and crying during official proceedings. But then along came our youngest senator ever, Sephiran, Duke of Perseus. When he took you in his arms, you immediately stopped crying. You even smiled. We had to take advantage of this obvious miracle. In an unprecedented move by the senator, we elevated Sephiran to prime minister, keeping him serving as close to you as possible. This plan, radical as it was, proved far more effective than we had dared to dream. A young, handsome prime minister and an adorable moppet of an apostle brought the people's support to incredible new heights. Apparently, the common citizenry is gullible enough to blindly follow any leader who is sufficiently attractive. Enamored as they were, no one ever seemed to care whether or not you could hear the voice of the goddess. With the new apostle and prime minister, the political landscape became unrecognizable. Even in the fact of overtly unreasonable legislation, the two of you would stand on the balcony. A smile and a wave later, the people would cheer and go on with their happy lives. It was too good to be true, however. Both of you were only meant to be puppets. Each year you interfered with our government more and more, in imposing your soft-hearted ideals over our sovereign rights. Were such trivialities as Legu's slavery and the Daen occupation worth making issues of? The pair of you were becoming an increasingly bothersome thorn in our side, and then this war began against the Legu's forces. You went so far as to expose our previous indiscretions and demand reparations for the subhumans. This was unforgivable. Clearly, you both had to be removed. Sephiran would be falsely accused and jailed, necessitating his removal from office. The apostle would suffer a sudden illness and be excused from official proceedings, or so we intended. And somehow, despite the extraordinary plans of great men, here you are, standing before my very eyes.
If Sephiran hadn't been freed, You were just waiting for the chance to kill us, just as you killed my grandmother.
Man, he would have come to a really bad realization once he tried killing Sephiran.
Out of respect for the imminently deceased, I'll be completely honest. Yes, you assume correctly. Your assassination and the plot to once again frame the Serenus Herons, for it was entirely my idea.
Yes, I thought as much.
Impressive, Sanaki. When you were first crowned, you would have cried your little eyes out. You've grown. Slightly.
Lacane, Duke of Gatos, before the 37th Empress of Begnion, prepare to be judged.
An amusing game, child, truly. But you must know that there is nothing you could do against me. I am the greatest servant of the all-knowing, almighty Ashura. I am her chosen champion. And you, Sanaki, are a pathetic wretch mewling behind her pack of Dayan curs. Ashura's judgment is upon you. You will not live to be turned to stone. You will die here as flesh and blood.
Alright, so even though you are required to bring in Sanaki, Soth, Kurth Naga, Ina, blah blah blah, you don't actually have to field them. However, Kurth Naga has a skill I did not even glance at before, and that was because I wanted to speak about it later. Night Tide increases the defense and resistance of adjacent allied units by 5. And then Blood Tide increases the strength and skill of adjacent allied units by 5. These skills alone are worth bringing these 2 units, though for the most part it's not going to be worth it in this particular chapter or necessary whatsoever. That is largely due to the fact that I don't really have a use. Oh, let me just reposition here. For any of the particular units that aren't going to do significant damage in battle and actually fight to my needs. Alright, so where's... Okay, Kanagus is there. Perfect. So in this chapter, there is one chest here, which is the Matrona. It is the double S rank single target staff. And then you also have... right here, the double bow. It gives +3 strength and has 22 might. Alongside being 1 to 2 range. Can I say Shannon, please? I cannot wait to have that. So you must rout enemy. So this is going to be a bit of a long chapter, and it is going to be a great one for the experience points gains of all of my units that still need it. However, post this chapter, I'm not really going to be doing much of that. Now, Lacane here is a saint and does come with the highest light magic, which only has 12 might. Can you believe it? Also comes with rewarp. He will teleport to each one of these corner spots. Even here, if Hetzel is dead, Hetzel has no... also being a saint, he is a boss technically, but also not. He comes with silence and sleep. I do believe that you can route this chapter without KOing Hetzel, and he will stay alive, but it's not significant to the story, so I'm not going to bother. Now, Lacane here does have Corona, and he does also have some very mighty power to deal 47 damage to you if he procs Corona. Anyone who has Nihil is not going to be affected by this. His rewarp will be used anytime you get close enough to him to actually damage him in a specific turn. That's not going to matter. I'm going to be taking him out basically the turn I go towards him, just to get him out of the way as fast as possible. And there are some interesting ways to level up your units in this particular chapter. Like, for instance, you can have a unit such as Kanagus stay untransformed and allow like these 2 dudes to wail on him. The problem is that they double him when he's untransformed, and he doesn't have enough defense to deal with that. The only way to deal with that is to have, like, for instance, Kurth Naga and Ina right next to him. I've thought about doing stuff like this. It's not a bad idea. It's actually not a bad idea to do that, especially with Naysala, because of the fact that Naysala needs the experience points as pretty much more than anybody in this particular game. I am not going to be turning on animations until the fateful encounter next chapter. So once that happens, animations will be on, which will be wonderful. And I will be pleased with that. Perfect. And Killer Axe. No KO there, unfortunately. Wind Edge, Storm Sword. I don't think I'm going to equip any of those right now. Yeah, Micaiah is not hardly doing any damage to any of these guys with something as weak as Purge. But I almost want to say that the Thani was specifically made for Micaiah to have some kind of use in these particular chapters. Alright, Wardwood. Cover. Yeah, so the tiles in this particular end game, there's tiles that give plus 10 resistance, and there's tiles that give plus 10 defense. There's also tiles, I don't think there's any here. No, there's not. There are tiles that also give plus 15 evasion, as well as 10% healing every turn. Alright, Nisala. For the time being, what I'm going to be doing is putting Nisala and Kanagus untransformed right there. I shall shift with you. And nobody has minus movement even though we're indoors, which is great because honestly, it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever that units did get minus movement in this. It was like they were trying to balance this game sort of like Thracia in a way, like mounted units get a nerf indoors. I think it is honestly just super pointless. Now here, I'm going to be using a Legue's Gem with Racing. I almost want to say that you can attack here. And I'll move you back. I think I'm going to put Titania in front of her, though, only because she's just going to get hit and KO again. Alright, so I'm going to use a Legue's Gem here. And then I'm also going to use a Legue's Stone. Soth can sit right next to Micaiah. I'm also going to equip him with, well, the Silver Knife is fine. And I can even heal up Valencia. And that is my turn. Though I do have to say, I kind of made a bit of a mistake, and it's very easy to tell what that mistake is. And that is that I didn't have anybody guarding the left side. That was a bit of a failure, to say the least. There are a lot of status stabs in this particular chapter. I brought a ton of restores, as well as the fact that Ina can automatically heal her teammates near her, or next to her, adjacent to her, from statuses, which is nice. Alright. Yeah. This might unfortunately be a reset, just because of the ability to... well, Stefan's going to take a lot of damage. You would hope that Provoke would make sure that he doesn't, but sometimes it just doesn't happen that way. Yeah, he's doing 15 damage times 2. I actually don't think that this is of any use. Yep, and he will... I don't think he's going to get doubled. Because Kurthnaga has... No, okay, so he is going to get doubled. Very interesting. Nisala cannot double here, these guys, because most of these guys have like 22 to 23 speed. which means that, yes, they're just... Oh, Resolve Wrath? Okay, I'm very glad he did not crit there, because he would have just died. The Legu's gem is awesome in the sense that even if Rayson is attacked here, he's not going to lose any gauge, because it is basically permanent. Very nice, Ike. Take him out. So this particular chapter, as well as the rest of the endgame, is brutally difficult in comparison to the rest of this game, if you take it slow, to say the least. Yeah, she's literally only doing 4 damage. It's insane. 33 attack. What a shame. I think I'm going to go ahead and shift here, though. This is... I don't even know why I was doing this, if I'm being honest, because Kanagas doesn't need the experience points, nor does he need strike rank. I was only doing this particularly with Naysala, because whilst this chapter is going, I might as well get him, you know, strike rank. Hellfire. Very nice. So I have a Fortify staff. It's actually what I'm saving my last Heron use for, because you only get 1 Fortify to this point. Now I do think you might get another one later in this particular chapter, but I don't know for an absolute fact. All right. Now, that's a level up for Kurthnaga. He is now level 21 with 22 speed, so I don't think any more of these guys can double him. Well, actually, Mr. Brave Sword here is hitting him twice regardless. I will have to heal him. You are healed up. So, like I said before, Ina and Kurthnaga are just not good units, and I really and truly stand behind this statement. It is very unfortunate. Alright, you're going to be healed. You are going to be KO'd. Perfect. Ike needs a level up. Wow. I know I took Blossom off of you, Ike, but still. These guys are not even standing on cover. They are just so brutally strong. I love the fact that you're fighting almost nothing but Armor Knights in this particular chapter. And the reason why I love that is because of the hearkening back to Thracia. I really feel like a lot of modern Fire Emblem tries to hearken back to that game because of like the betterment of it. The game itself was better. So even though some people don't necessarily agree with that, it's kind of the truth though. All right, move again. All right. Yeah, 38 damage. It's not enough to KO that guy, so I'm going to attack somebody else. Perfect. Yeah, so the Armor Knights in this game not only have high defense, but they also have high resistance in especially these parts of this game, which I actually love. I think it's a lot of fun that the enemies are more than prepared to deal with you. It's not just like you're totally overpowered, because that's not at all the case. Wow, she KO'd with counter? That's hilarious. I think that's the first time I have ever seen that happen, or anything of the sort for that matter. Very nice. Double bow, I will take that. I think I'll put away the pure water for the time being. I'm also going to KO you. And then I'm going to trade and obtain that double bow. So awesome. So now, Shinon is one of my most powerful units, and that is actually not a joke, which is fantastic. Okay, so Word Wood. I kind of want to put all of my units on the Word Wood as soon as possible. That's going to happen over the next turn. I'm going to end for the time being. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Not surprised whatsoever. Nice miss. Perfect. And Provoke is doing wonders. Working, finally. Yep, so Mr. Bravesword is going to attack Kurthnaga. He's not going to attack twice, luckily, because Kurthnaga did just get a bit of speed. Yeah, Stefan is going to get hit. When you're asleep, I believe your avoid is literally set to 0. Nice. This is why I took the double bow and equipped it. So now that Shinon can actually attack these guys at 1-2 range with something that isn't just a weak old crossbow. Interesting that that unit decided that he was going to attack Soth rather than Naysala. Naysala is doing pretty much no damage at this point. Yeah, it seems like Kurthnaga is getting a lot of experience points right now, but once he reaches the ripe old age of 30, I say age, but the ripe old level of 30, he's not going to get any experience points pretty much at all, even with Paragon. I was halfway thinking about putting Paragon on Ina, but as you saw, she is almost incapable, like 100% incapable of doing damage at this point, which is gross, disgusting, wild, crazy. But with that being said, it is time to end off this episode. I want to thank you for joining me. It's been a long one. A lot of preparations had to be made before I could go through and fight in the tower. I have a couple of bosses left, and I have also acquired that double bow. But I think it's going to be a fun one. The endgame of Radiant Dawn is one of my favorites in the entire franchise, which is intriguing, especially because of what happens after the next chapter. I love what happens to your weapons, particularly. I want to thank you for joining me. If you like my content, please upvote and follow, or like and subscribe, depending on your platform, and while you're at it, have a great and glorious day gaming.